Almost there. We're live. So I will unmute everybody.
Thank you very much. Welcome everyone to the Lewiston School Committee Business Meeting. We will start tonight's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. I can still hear myself talking on the video. Okay.
Somebody's got the YouTube one going.
Thank you. All right. I can still hear myself talking on the video. Okay.
Is that better? Somebody's got the YouTube.
Superintendent Finn, could you give us a COVID update? Maybe you didn't hear I don't know, my microphone was muted.
Is that better? Somebody's got the YouTube.
Superintendent Finn, could you give us a COVID update? Maybe you didn't hear I don't know, my microphone was muted.
Can I just jump in? It looks like, Dave, we're hearing it through your screen somehow.
Okay. Thank you, school committee. As reported earlier, and we'll continue to report, our phase 1 and phase 2 have been completed, and yet they still continue. Our students are still being fed, and maintenance still continues as required in our district. Our distribution of technology has been completed, and this provides initial access to the programming that our teaching and learning offices have made available to all of our learners. Today actually began phase 3, a much anticipated phase. Everyone's very excited about this. It gives 100% access to our Edgenuity platform, including our PathBlazer and our MyPath and our courseware, and gives full access to curriculum online. Parents woke up this morning to a new screen when their children opened up their laptops at the elementary level with very large, friendly icons. Really do kind of pop. And as they clicked on those icons, they were able to see very well planned lessons that were available for them and for their learners in conjunction with our Edgenuity platform as well. Got a few reviews back on that already, so folks have given some very positive feedback to that, and those that seem to be struggling have a help desk as recommended by the school committee that they are able to go to in order to get any kind of technical assistance that they need. So all seems to be going well after the first day of phase 3. Our operations team meets regularly with Chief Avery. They had a great meeting today, and they'll be asking to be able to present out by department very soon as a future agenda item that's been requested. Our teaching and learning team also meets regularly, and as they are closely monitoring our implementation of this heaviest lift, which is phase 3, we are actually looking now at phase 4, which is the eventual reunification plan. Our Lewiston High School plan that was approved on 4/20 is underway and will allow Fazla to be able to go into a little bit more detail when he does his senior report. There are some exciting plans moving forward to find creative ways to make sure that our students are recognized who are in the top 10, but also students who will be receiving awards at the end of the school year. And of course, we are eyeing the different options for graduation at this time too. We do expect to receive some guidance from the Department of Education. They do have a task force that is going to be advising the commissioner as to what we will be able to do and what we may not be able to do in terms of actual graduations. We're anticipating probably tomorrow we may hear a little bit more guidance. and we'll watch that closely. All that being said, Principal Langlis is doing a phenomenal job with his team at making sure each contingency plan is covered. So as we move into this heavy 5-week period of phase 3 that brings us to the very end of school, the last day of school in Lewiston, according to our calendar in Lewiston, is the 8th of June, with the last day for teachers being the 9th of June. We will monitor very, very closely and help as much as we possibly can as folks try to navigate this remote learning plan. I'm very, very proud of our teachers. It is Teacher Appreciation Week, and we thank everyone for supporting our teachers as you always do. In this very public forum, we'd like to just go ahead and just thank our teachers for all that they do and all that they continue to do during this era of unprecedented times.
Thank you, Superintendent Finn. I had a hard time hearing you. So I think maybe, I don't know if you're not in close proximity to your microphone. I heard you enough, but I'm not sure how it sounds for the video. Did other people, could you give me a thumbs up if you had a hard time hearing Superintendent Finn? Yeah, okay. I just wanted you to be aware because I know you'll have to do some talking throughout this meeting. So we'll see if we can fix it as we go. Okay. Agenda item number 3. So tonight we were trying to celebrate our seniors in the best way that we knew how, which was to show a little bit of class spirit and bring in our big blue. And we also had, we asked our senior representative to come in and just kind of talk to us about what's going on out there for the seniors and what he's heard and his experience right now. So I'm going to ask Fazla to go ahead and give us an update.
Fazla. So as a senior, I didn't expect my school year to end like this. It was very out of the blue, and I know I'm not alone. Everybody in our country is going through this, every senior, and I think it's a big learning curve for all of us. That being said, the senior class at Lewiston has been doing a great job just communicating amongst each other and trying to bring balance to this whole pandemic thing that's going on. I know all our social media platforms have been buzzing with parents and students sending positive messages around. If you follow our Facebook group, you can see many students are displaying their post-graduation plans, whether that be joining the military, college, or even doing workforce, whatever that is. It really puts a big shine on our class, knowing that these kids are being very productive, even being home.
So what Facebook group is that called? That's the Class of 2020 Facebook group?
Right.
Yep.
And as for events going forward, I know that we are planning for the contingency plan, events surrounding the end of July, which we know there's a prom being rescheduled, and a week of appreciation for seniors, and eventually our graduation, which we're very excited for, and we hope we get. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I want to give people their diploma on the stage. It will be so weird if we can't do it, but we'll figure something out. Are there any things that the committee can do to help support any efforts that you have, or community members, any message you want to give to the community?
Just know we're fighting through this all together. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to contact me via email or any of our class advisors or any of the school committee members. Whether that be question about graduation, anytime you need help accessing educational avenues, I know there's AP exams coming up, I'm prepping for them. So if you need help regarding that, you can contact any teachers or me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Fazla? just raise up your hand if you want to say anything. Miss Ray?
I just wanted to thank Fazla. He's been a great contributing member to this committee for such a long time, and I'm not sure when we'll get to see you again, but always appreciate the opportunity to hear from you and the class you represent so well.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else? We're gonna let him go, get out of the rest of the boring stuff. Well, thanks again for joining us, and do feel free to go if you have other things that you need to do.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, bye. All right. Agenda item number 4, the consent agenda. Are there items that members want to remove from the consent agenda? Looking all around. Okay. So I do this every time. So we have to vote on the consent agenda by roll call to make sure that.
Or I have a,
Oh, you do?
yeah, I just have a correction to the minutes. And in the sort of whole thing, I neglected to look at them before this evening. And I believe that Mr. Potvin and I voted against entering into executive session for the minutes on the 20th.
You voted against going into executive session?
Yes, I believe that Mr. Potvin.
I agree with that also. I did not vote to go in executive session.
Okay. Okay.
Chair Roy,
Yes.
the minutes, they should reflect exactly what members Collins and Potvin said. I'll go back. It is part of the notes that I have, and the vote should be reflected otherwise. So I'll make sure that I go in and have that taken care of.
Okay. So with those corrections, is that fine? Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just do the roll call just so we'll be sure. Ms. Parks?
Yes.
Mr. Damon?
Yes.
I say yes. Mr. Majerus Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Whitlow?
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Potvin?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
And Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Thank you. The consent agenda has been adopted. Agenda item number 5, public input. Members of the public may address the school committee for up to 3 minutes on non-agenda items now and on agenda items later. These comments are being taken via email. Mr. Finn, are there any that came in via email?
Yes, ma'am. We have a public comment from community member Renee Kudamach, and she sent an email as follows. That email is, I am sending this email this evening out of concern for the positive COVID case at the Lewiston Armory. I am concerned as I have heard that the people residing at the Armory are bathing/showering at Lewiston Middle School. This seems like a risk to our school and students. As a parent of 2 Lewiston students, I am surprised that this has been allowed, seeing that minimal entry to any of our schools has been allowed up to this point. I wanted to share my concern as a parent in that I feel it is a large and unnecessary risk for any of the general population to be using our schools at this time, especially a population with confirmed case of COVID-19. Fondly, Renee Kudamach, Ward 1.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that process was for allowing folks to use the middle school for bathing?
Yes, the city requested cooperation from several entities, the school department being one, as they opened up a facility at the Armory. We actually have a board member who's assisted with that in the Armory, committee member at this time. And because there are not showers available at that facility, the city let us know that that's what we'll be doing. So it was not exactly the school committee's call or my call either. However, it should be noted that there is a concern for this, and we will take a look at what is being done to ensure that after these folks who are in need are actually using these showers, that they are clean, sanitized. It's not something that has been asked for in terms of from the school department. And so what I will do is I will follow up with the city to see if this is something that they're taking care of or something that we need to be taking care of. But we did get communication the week prior from a volunteer over at the Armory that was pointing us towards that the hot and cold water were exactly working. And so we did send someone over to have that taken care of as well. So it's duly noted from the community member that there obviously was a reported COVID-19 case over at the Armory. And it should also be noted that our students and our staff members are not in that area of the building or using that building at all. And that, you know, we're being as cooperative as we can with the city in order to help get through this situation as well. However, I will follow up to ensure that the maintenance is where it needs to be in terms of the showers over at the middle school.
Thank you.
That is the only comment that we received.
Okay. So they're going to move on to agenda item number 6, to receive and approve changes to the FY21 budget as recommended. Chief Administrative Officer Bobby Avery will present.
Okay, can you hear me okay? You can hear me, okay, good. So in your packet, you have the budget memo that we had reviewed the last school committee meeting that we had. And so on page 2, you'll notice that the recommendation is to move the budget to $88,614,478.05. That's a reduction of 1 million from the former budget, 1,100,383.95. And on page 1, you'll notice, as a review, that each article that has been reduced is at the top section under budget reductions recommendation.
Thank you, Ms. Avery.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept the FY21 budget in the amount of $88,614,478.05.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Donovan seconds. Thank you. Any discussion? I'll just go down the list just to make sure I don't miss anybody. Ms. Parks?
Yes, I'm good.
Mr. Damon, any comments or discussion?
No, it's unfortunate consequence of where we're at. So yes.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Majerus Collins, do you have anything for discussion?
Yeah, I'll be brief. I appreciate the work that the school administration has done to try to reduce the budget, and I think it would be fair to characterize for the public the proposed changes as more or less passing along our CARES Act funding in the form of a budget reduction. So this budget is not considerably different than the budget that we passed unanimously earlier. However, I'm going to vote against it, and my concern is primarily with the use of the CARES Act funding as a tax cut. I understand the desire to do that, but I think that given how unpredictable everything is, and given that we don't know what the state of this pandemic is going to be in the fall, that it's important for the district to be as resource ready as possible. And so I think that it would be better for us to be keeping that in reserve for possible unanticipated future needs. So that's my rationale for voting against it.
Ms. Whitlow?
All set.
Thank you. Ms. Hawkins?
I'm good. I do mirror some of Mr. Majoris Collins' concerns, but I'm okay with what's in place.
Thank you. Mr. Potvin?
Yeah, I just want to know from Bobby what the total figure EPS requirement is going to end up being from the taxpayers, and how much more is that above the minimum, the state minimum that we need to be at?
Okay, so that's the revenue budget. And so as far as the local debt service is concerned, let's see, we're going to be paying, the taxpayers will be paying a total of, I'm going to itemize this, okay? So a total of $234,724.19. The additional local allocation, the taxpayers will see a reduction of $1,001,383.95. And then and we call it on our revenue page, foundation allocation, which is the ED 279 required minimum. There's an increase of $105,754. So overall, you take all three of those components. Overall, there's a decrease to the taxpayers of $773,905.76.
Okay, and so how close does that bring us to our minimum that we're required to by state?
We're at the minimum.
That is the minimum.
Yeah, yes. Yep.
Okay.
So
Good. All set.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Donovan? Anything for discussion?
Nothing. I am all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ray?
I'm all set with questions. I did just want to give everyone kind of a clue that, so the next action would be the city council voting on this. However, we are deferring that for a period of time. And of course, I'm not going to get the particulars right here, but there's just too much in my brain. So we won't vote on it for another 2 weeks, is my understanding, because the public referendum date has been moved. So we can't let more than 30 days elapse, I think, is my understanding, between when the city council votes on it and when it goes to the public for referendum. So this will not be acted upon tomorrow night by the city council. However, the whole plan has been pretty much unanimously endorsed by the council. So I imagine it will move forward.
Thanks for that clarification. Appreciate it. Okay, so now we're going to do a roll call vote.
Could I just ask a clarifying question?
Oh, sorry. Yes, Mr. Majoris Collins.
Sorry. I just wanted to ask, mostly for the public's benefit. Councilor Ray, do you know when the referendum has been rescheduled to?
I believe it will be the same date as the statewide elections. It's supposed to be in June. I think it's in July.
July 14th then. Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Parks?
Yes.
Mr. Damon?
Yes.
Ms. Roy says yes. Mr. Majoris Collins?
No.
Ms. Whitlow?
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Potvin?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
So that is 8 in favor, 1 opposed, and the opposed is Mr. Majoris Collins. Okay. Agenda item number 7, to discuss and approve LCIP surplus transfer funds. Chief Administrative Officer Bobby Avery will present.
Okay, so in your packet, you do have before you a resolve. And for the public, I just would like to go through this so that folks know what we're talking about. This does have to do with a transfer of $255,000 from various capital projects to fund the Dingley Building Security Project. And so what this would mean is there's surplus money sitting in prior projects. And we have made an LCIP request in FY21 for a Dingley Building Security Project. And so this is an attempt to reallocate funds that are already available to us so that we don't have to take out an additional bond for this project. So if you do approve this, this will allow the Dingley Building Security Project to be funded with surplus bond funds. And then they come from the FY17, FY18, and FY19 project. And let's see. And I think that's it.
Great. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to transfer the surplus funds to use for the security for Dingley.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Potvin. Okay, we'll do the roll call. Ms. Parks. Oh, no, wait, discussion. Mr. Majoris Collins.
I just had a question for Miss Avery. This seems like a total slam dunk. What would be the possible reason not to do this? What would the money be used for otherwise?
We don't have a plan, so I can't answer that. You're right, this is a slam dunk. This is a complete, it's the right thing to do. It's a savings to the taxpayers. It makes complete sense to me that we would not go out for a bond for a project that we could fund with surplus funds. So we don't have another plan.
Anybody else for discussion? Just wave at me. Mr. Damon.
I'm disappointed that we're not going to move forward on the Mcmahon parking. I think that's a serious safety issue, and I think there's actually support for it at the city council. I think it could still stay within under the limit that the city council had looked at, and I'd like to see that back in there.
Ms. Avery, can you clarify that? Because we're just moving the funds for this one part. The rest of it we are asking for Mcmahon, we are asking for that. This is how we're paying for one of the projects on our own, correct?
That's correct. So we will be discussing the Mcmahon project next. So this is just for the Dingley Building Security Project.
So Mr. Damon, we're not saying that it's this is the only thing we're asking for. We're asking to transfer funds just to pay for this part of the project, and then the other two things we discussed at our budget meeting last time, we'll be discussing next.
I was looking at page 2 of the memo to Todd, and it says right out the recommendations is to defer McMahon and then to fund this through the bond surplus. So,
Bobby,
interrelated.
Yes. So we will. So you're correct, and we will be discussing that recommendation in the next item. So item number 8. We've segregated them. We've broken them out so that we can so that the board can vote solely on the Dingley security project to use those surplus funds. So we have to parse them out.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Any other discussion on that? All right, we're going to do a vote. Ms. Parks.
I vote in favor.
Mr. Damon.
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Majoris Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Whitlow.
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins.
Yes.
Mr. Potvin.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Ms. Ray.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Agenda item number 8, to receive and approve amendments to the FY21 LCIP as recommended. Ms. Avery?
Yes, and I'm not sure if you will allow this discussion. It was brought up by the city council through the LCIP discussion around the possible deferral of the LHS expansion project. And I don't know if you want to incorporate that into this next discussion, or I don't know how the board would like to see that done.
No, I think the board needs to have a presentation from that committee and hear some specifics about timelines. So I would like to move forward with this without that part of it.
Okay. All right, so going back to the recommendation for the LCIP request, and Member Damon, this is where we'll discuss deferring the Mcmahon parking expansion project. I'm going to go back to the original recommendation, and that is to defer the Mcmahon parking expansion project. We just spoke about funding the Dingley security project through the bond surplus, and then to maintain the LCIP request for the security camera project. So the total revised FY21 LCIP request would be $300,000 with a total bond surplus transfer request of $255,000, which you just approved to do that. And might I add, this transfer request will go to the City Council tomorrow night for their approval. So that is my request for the FY21 LCIP.
So now we can have a discussion about that. So Mr. Damon, did you want to discuss that part?
Well, I really feel that that's one of the, that's a security issue in and of itself. There's issues around that whole area that I think need to be addressed. I think right at the moment, with paving prices being about as low as they're probably going to get because of the drop in oil prices, I think we need to move forward on that, make that happen. We cannot just completely ignore infrastructure. And that's something that really needs to have been done for the last probably 3 years, if not more. I absolutely disagree with deferring that.
I think probably most people have something to chime in. Ms. Parks, did you or did you not want to chime in on this one?
I did not, thank you.
Okay. So then Mr. Majerus Collins, you had something you wanted to say.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to make a motion that we maintain the Mcmahon project as well as the security camera project, just so that we can have something that we're discussing, and that's my sentiment.
Thank you. Mr. Damon, second, or Mr. Potvin, was that Mr. Potvin seconded that? Thank you. And then Ms. Whitlow, did you have something to add?
Yes, I saw Miss Ray had her hand up. I didn't know if she had some information from the city, because I know that the last meeting that we had, we wanted to know a little bit more about the no parking and the widening of the street and all that stuff. So I'd like to hear what she might have to say.
Ms. Ray?
So at this moment, we are voting on the LCIP tomorrow night, and both projects are included in our packet. So I would think the school committee would want to endorse the motion that was just made with both projects. That's what we are expecting to see tomorrow, and we had agreed to during our last discussion.
Thank you. Ms. Hawkins, did you have anything that you wanted to add for discussion on this?
I know the parking issue is a big thing for the school, and obviously it's something people feel pretty strongly about. If it's already included in our request, I don't see a reason to mess with it.
Okay. Mr. Potvin.
Okay, so here it is again, and I think several of us have made the point on numerous occasions, even one time gauging a vote to keep it intact. We had a workshop discussion where a majority of people chose to keep it intact. And again, it comes back. And I don't understand what we need to do as a group to send this message. So I will agree with Mr. Kerner and Mr. Damon once again to not go backwards with this. This message needs to be sent. It will haunt us. This will be a mistake if we take this out. I have to lean on my experience that I had in Auburn. If we take this out, We're going backwards. We have to then recoup to try to finance that later on with additional projects that will come on. Chances are there's going to be less funding to do that. So now is not the time. I think this is so anemic as it is. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Mr. Donovan, anything you want for discussion?
I don't have any additional topics or points.
Okay. So we will do a roll call, and then we'll have the vote, Mr. Potvin, and we can lay it to rest. So, Ms. Parks.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
May I participate in the discussion?
I'm sorry, I thought you were done because I'd already called on you. Yes,
I just wanted to answer Ms. Whitlow's question before. Is that all right?
Okay, I thought you did. Go ahead, go for it.
Okay, so obviously this process has been very convoluted this time around, but there is no indication that the City Council will not support both projects moving forward. It was the discussion we had previously, and I believe Ms. Roy sent around that discussion for everyone to view before this meeting. So I think a lot of things were just getting lost in translation, especially under this format. I think this is probably the worst way to be doing a first budget for many people. And it's just very hard to loop everyone in. So I just wanted to make very clear that I fully anticipate that the council will unanimously support what the school committee is putting forward currently. There were asks for reductions way at the beginning of this project, of this process, and by addressing some of it through the surplus funds transfer, that has made them happier. And then we also found reductions on the city side. So I just want to make sure people don't think it's as adversarial or anything like that. It's truly trying to work together towards these solutions for everyone that we hear from. And it's really hard to ask of the school committee. And it's really hard for me to separate the votes sometimes too. So I just want to be very clear about that and say how appreciative we are of the work that has been done already, but also, you know, both projects should go through tomorrow night. I will update you if they don't, but they really should.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Parks?
Just to clarify, we're voting on Kiernan's motion to include both.
That's correct.
Okay, I vote in favor.
Thank you. Mr. Damon?
Yes.
I say yes as well. Mr. Majerus Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Whitlow?
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Potvin?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
And Ms. Ray?
Yes.
That's unanimous. Well done. And I'm really glad to hear that the City Council is looking toward doing these projects as well. I do think that at first I do appreciate the clarification on that. We're all on the same page with that. And I think we had really great discussion the last time in our budget meeting to kind of bring that point home. And we figured out a lot of ways to fund things on our own. And I think this cooperation is really great. Let's see, agenda item number 9. Oh, that's to receive an update from the Poverty Committee, and that's me. So the Poverty Committee hadn't met for a little while due to all the stuff going on. I would say the main group hasn't met, but there was a subcommittee that was a design team. We are planning a retreat, and it will be 2 days. We are planning the first meeting to be a Zoom meeting because we're going to do it the first week of June. And although it's possible we could maybe have met in person, we just don't know. So we're going to do that first meeting like this. And we really are, we have a facilitator from the Gorman Foundation helping us through the process. So it's very strategic in the way that we're going to plan to get to a final product, which we would present to the school committee of recommendations of what we learned from the Harlem Children's Zone, and if we can bring anything back here, or if there are any strategies that kind of surfaced that we can use to fight, combat, and generational poverty. Miss Avery, did you want to add anything to that? Good, no, okay. So more to come on that. We're excited to be able to meet again and get back to work. Any questions about that before I move forward? No. Okay. Agenda item number 10, to receive and approve the renewal of probationary teachers for the 2020-2021 school year. It says will present. I'm guessing Mr. Finn will present.
Yes, and I'll go ahead and ask Chief Avery to as well. The committee will find a list of probationary teachers that we would like to renew in Lewiston Public Schools. I'd like to ask Chief Avery to go deeper into that for us, please.
I can do that. And so I don't know how you all feel, but this is one of my favorite parts of a school committee meeting because it really is about our educators and moving all of our probationary teachers forward. So in your packet, you see probationary, and I'm going to go through it real quick, but you see a list of probationary 1 teachers that we're recommending to move to probationary 2. There are 87 of them, and I'm super excited about each and every one of them. If you look on page 3, there's the probationary 2 teachers that we are recommending to move to probationary 3. There's 73 of those. So that's phenomenal. And then at the very end, there are probationary 3 teachers that we're recommending to move onto a continuing contract. So we're super excited about that. There's 46 of them. So we hope that you support this.
Mr. Finn.
I think it is super exciting that we're able to recognize and to really raise our own teachers and hang on to them as well, to see the number of 2s going to 3s and the 3s going into regular teacher contracts. That is pretty exciting. What we want to make sure that we do along the way is go right back to one of our budget goals, and that's that professional development piece. This committee has been instrumental in allowing us to move forward with. When we talk about the social and emotional piece, that's for our teachers too. When we talk about the skilled leadership development, that's going to help our teachers grow as well. And then when we talk about the MTSS, the multi-tiered systems of support, that empowers teachers to make decisions. So I hope that when we see this a year from now, we'll see 73 3s going into a traditional contract that we would have. So it is very, very exciting. And we want to see those numbers increase and continue trending that way.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the transfer of probationary teachers in the various respective rankings.
I'll second.
It was like I made that motion. Okay, any discussion? Looking, I don't see anything. All right, we'll do the roll call. Ms. Parks.
Yes.
Mr. Damon.
Yes.
I say yes. Mr. Majerus Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Whitlow.
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins.
Yes.
Mr. Potvin.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Ms. Ray.
Yes.
That's a unanimous vote. Agenda item number 11, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Damon.
Was there discussion about the expansion at the high school that we should at least broach?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have asked Mr. Finn if we can have that on our regular business meeting for next time, to have your committee come before us and talk about a timeline. So probably you and I can connect again about what that meeting will look like with Mr. Finn. If that's all right with you. Yeah.
Okay, great, great.
Absolutely.
Motion to adjourn.
Whew,
Where is
right.
everyone? Come on.
I'll second it.
Okay. Ms. Parks.
Yes.
Mr. Damon.
Yes.
Yes for me. Mr. Majerus Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Whitlow.
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins.
Yes.
Mr. Potvin? Wait. What'd you say?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Donovan
Yes.
and Miss Ray.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.